We proceed to hypothesis testing, where you see that we have a null hypothesis and an alternative hypothesis. We collect data from the sample, and if our P is less than alpha, or the level of significance, we reject the null hypothesis. If it is not less than alpha, we do not reject the null hypothesis. So from our initial set of objectives, these are the last three for which we do hypothesis testing. And here we look at the conditions when to undertake hypothesis testing. One is when we compare a parameter to a pre-specified value. For example, a reference standard, a recommended level, a national figure, previous study results, or others. The second condition is when comparing one group to another or to others. And then the last is when investigating the relationship of one variable with another. And this may be correlation or association. Here we have written the steps in hypothesis testing, and we'll just go through them very briefly. State the null hypothesis, HO, and the alternative hypothesis, H1. State the level of significance, alpha. Choose the test statistic and determine its sampling distribution. Determine the critical region. Compute the test statistic. Make the statistical decision whether or not to reject the null hypothesis, and draw conclusions about the population. But because this is not a biostat class, we will not look at all those details, at those steps in detail. But we'll move forward understanding that most of the time we have biostatisticians to help us. But the more important thing here is for us to understand as researchers what statistical tests are appropriate for the objectives that we set forth. So the contents of this slide are important as well. The factors to consider when choosing what statistical test to use. So you look at the objectives of the study, the type of variable, the level of measurement, the number of samples and whether the samples are related or independent, and the assumption on the distribution. For a quick review, I have two slides looking at the level of measurement and the assumption on the distribution. I'm sharing the review mnemonics NOIR to represent the level of measurement of variables, because from lowest to highest they go nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. And you see that for each one, here are the characteristics. At nominal level of measurement, variables are categorized and labeled. At ordinal level, the same characteristic and then ranks categories in order. At interval, you have known equal intervals, and the perfect example of interval would be temperature, to signify that there is no true or meaningful zero in interval. What do we mean by that? A zero temperature does not mean absence of temperature. It means something on the scale where it's represented. But for ratio, where you have a true or meaningful zero in addition to all the other characteristics, it means that when you say zero, you actually mean zero. For example, number of beds catering to patients with so-and-so disease. And then the data says 0. So that means there's no beds that cater to patients with a particular disease. I gave you this example and I hope it makes things clearer for you. For example, let's look at diabetes as a possible variable. If you want to do a study that looks at diabetes, you realize that there are many ways of expressing it. For example, you may categorize people into those with diabetes and without diabetes. And that is actually at the nominal level of measurement. So you just come up with a count and then proportions of who has diabetes and who does not have diabetes. Now, in the ordinal level, you may want to look at the people who have DM and you categorize them as poor control, average control, or excellent control. But you're not sure if those intervals are actually equal. But you do know that excellent control is better than average control, which is better than poor control. And then going to the ratio level of measurement, you now go into the actual blood glucose level in milligrams per deciliter, and it's reported to you as a number. So a particular variable of interest can be reported in just one way, or like this one, can be reported in different levels or in different ways. And how you choose to report it or measure it will decide partly on which statistical test will be most appropriate for it. Let's have a few words on the assumption on the distribution. And here we see the terms parametric versus non-parametric tests. Simplistically speaking, parametric tests make many assumptions that the sample is large enough, it's big, that there's normality of the distribution, there's homogeneity of the variance, and there's independence. And the parametric tests usually deal with interval or ratio data. And examples of these are common tests that we hear: t-tests, ANOVA, Pearson correlation. The non-parametric tests, on the other hand, are used or poised when the data is not normally distributed, when we're dealing with smaller sample sizes, when the data is presented as nominal or ordinal levels, and then there's the presence of outliers. And examples of non-parametric tests would be Mann-Whitney, Wilcoxon-Signed rank, Kruskal-Wallis, and Spearman's rank correlation. So, in writing the protocol, proponents are sometimes advised to write both in whatever scenario might come up. So while we assume that we may get or reach our computed sample size and we give the parametric tests that are appropriate, it might be useful to have a plan B to say that if conditions will not allow for parametric tests, then the following non-parametric tests will be used. That way, you're covered on all bases, so to speak. The following slides give us examples of research objectives and the corresponding statistical test or test statistic to use. For example, if the objective reads this way: to determine if the hemoglobin levels of children aged 6 to 12 years old residing in Porac, Pampanga is within the recommended levels, then we're doing a test of hypothesis for a single mean, and we use z-test for a large sample or t-test for a small sample. If the study wants to compare a proportion to a previously known value, for example, to determine if the proportion of children 2 to 5 years who have anterior caries is similar to that of the 2019 review estimate, then we're doing test of hypothesis for a single proportion, and the z-test would be appropriate. For the next few examples, we're looking not only at the objective, but the other considerations like the type of variable, the level of measurement, the number of samples, and so on. So these are hypothetical objectives that I just made up. They did not come from real studies, or to the best of my knowledge, there are no actual studies going on that look at them. So example 1, to compare the mean elevation in meters tolerated by pre-seniors versus seniors during a light hiking trip. Type of variable, quantitative. level of measurement, ratio, number of samples, related or not, 2, not related. Assumption on the distribution, we don't know yet, but if it's parametric, we will use the independent t-test for small sample, z-test for large sample. If it's non-parametric, we use Wilcoxon-Mann-Whitney. Next example. To compare the mean distance walked by seniors before and after intake of a proprietary energy drink. The type of variable is quantitative. The level of measurement, ratio. Number of samples, related or not. 2, and it's related because it's the same seniors, but you're just taking the measurements before and after. So assumption on the distribution, we don't know yet. But if it's parametric, we will use paired t-test. If it's non-parametric, we will use Wilcoxon signed rank test. If, out of curiosity, I'd like to compare the proportion of males versus females who successfully complete the 115-kilometer segment of the Camino de Santiago from Sarria to Compostela. The Camino de Santiago is a pilgrimage walk over thousands or hundreds of kilometers. The 115-kilometer segment is the shortest one possible. So if I'm actually curious to see the proportion of males versus females who complete it, I may propose an objective like this. So the type of variable for illustration is qualitative. The level of measurement is nominal. Number of samples, related or not. 2, not related. Statistical test would be C-test for 2 proportions and chi-square or Fishers. Can you compare more than 2 groups? By all means. If you want to do a test of hypothesis for the difference of the means among 3 or more groups, you can do the F-test or ANOVA. If you're doing test of hypothesis for the difference of proportions among 3 or more groups, you do the chi-square test. And then as we approach the end of this talk, let's look at investigating relationships. So this is the third of the conditions where we said you do hypothesis testing. Remember, if you want to compare with the preset value, if you're comparing groups, and then if you're investigating relationships. So this table shows us when your level of measurement is nominal or ordinal or interval ratio, these are the tests that you can use. But let's look into detail. When you investigate relationships, you can do one of 2 analyses. So correlation is when you'd like to look at the relationship between 2 quantitative variables. And association when you're looking at the relationship between variables when the outcome variable is qualitative. Here is an example of an objective. For correlation, it will sound something like this. To determine the correlation between the number of classmates that a child is exposed to and the number of days to develop symptoms of pertussis. So you see that you're pegging number versus number. And the correct analysis for this would be Pearson correlation if the distribution is parametric. The other example sounds a little different. To determine the association between vaping and oral mucosal ulceration. And all at once, it makes sense that it's either vaping and not vaping, and then with ulceration, without ulceration. Of course, you can do a chi-square test for association, but this one can also be expressed as an odds ratio following multiple logistic regression. So we'll look at that later. So focusing on correlation analysis. This type measures the strength and the direction of the relationship between 2 or more quantitative variables through the computation of a correlation coefficient R. The R can be is usually positive, but it can also be negative. And what it means is that as one variable increases, the other variable decreases. Correlation analysis is conventionally shown visually by a scatter plot. And here you intuitively know at once that it must be numbers that you're plotting, because for each participant or each respondent, you are plotting an X value, a value on the X with its corresponding value on the Y for you to come up with these dots. But if it were categories, there's absolutely no way that you can plot them on a scatter plot. Looking at association, this is what we use when we want to see the relationship of two qualitative variables. So sometimes the chi-square test is used, and it wouldn't be wrong, but that test only reports if there's association or not. So let's say, for example, you'd like to look at the association between birth sex, male or female, and fatigue after the 6-minute walk test, with fatigue or without fatigue. If you use the chi-square test, you may find that there is or there is not an association, but you do not see the magnitude or the direction of that association. Now, the odds ratio is a measure of association that reports the presence, magnitude, and direction of the association. And nicely enough, it can be computed manually when the proportions are known using a 2x2 table, as shown here. So for the columns, you have the outcome with fatigue, without fatigue. And then in the rows, you have the exposure factor, the sex, male and female. If the association analysis will be carried out using statistical software, the exposure variables can be coded or can be acceptable even if they are qualitative or quantitative. It only requires that the outcome variable is nominal. Now, regression, which you may have heard of, is done as a statistical maneuver. So this association analysis, as I said, requires that the outcome variable is nominal, and the regression depends, or the name of the regression depends on the level of measurement. So for example, if it's nominal dichotomous, meaning with fatigue, without fatigue, then what you do is multivariable logistic regression. But if the outcome is in order, for example, ordinal, like with slight fatigue, with average fatigue, with severe fatigue, for example, then you do ordinal regression. The regression analysis allows for control or adjusting for other factors, which may actually be confounding or modifying. So when you end up doing the, let's say, the logistic regression, the report includes not only the crude odds ratio, but also the adjusted odds ratio. And normally when you report this, they must come with confidence intervals. There are other measures of association, and they are used depending on the study design and the objectives. For example, the risk ratio or the relative risk, and also the hazard ratio. So I will end by showing you these diagrams and figures of various statistical tests that you can use in different conditions. And this one is borrowed from a previous lecture of Dr. Adversario that shows the level of data, whether it's interval ratio, nominal, ordinal, or skewed numerical, differentiating between two samples or 3 or more samples, and for each one, whether the samples are independent or related. And you see color-coded are the tests which are appropriate for those conditions. And then here also are other tables from other references, and you may want to look at them to see if any of them match the objectives that you're writing down for the protocol that you're preparing. Here is another table just to show that there are many references that you can check. But if you have questions, feel free to email me at my official UERM email address, and I will try to address your concern. So with that, I'd like to end, and in summary, I leave you these messages. There are many strategies and approaches to analyze the data from study results. Proper data analysis is essentially hinged on correct data collection and processing, and deciding which statistical analysis and test to use as the most appropriate depends on the study objectives, the type of variable used, the level of measurement, and the distribution of the data. So thank you very much for listening, and have a good day, everyone. So with that, I'd like to end, and in summary, I leave you these messages.